Welcome back, Forgotten Crimes fans. Today, we are delving into one of the most chilling and baffling cases in American history, the Boston Strangler. This case, which haunted Boston in the early 1960s, became a legend of true crime, surrounded by mystery, fear, and unanswered questions. Join me as we unpack the case from its chilling beginnings to the twist that left people wondering whether the right man was ever truly caught. In 1962, a city already in the throes of post-World War II growth was struck with terror. The first victim, Anna Sleesers, was found in her Boston apartment, strangled with a pair of her own stockings. But when another woman, Mary Mullen, was found dead under eerily similar circumstances just weeks later, the whispers began. Was there a killer on the loose? Over the next few years, the killings escalated. The victims were always women, typically older, living alone. Each had been sexually assaulted before being strangled. The killer's method was chillingly consistent. He used stockings, sometimes a belt, to strangle his victims, leaving them with a similar signature. The city of Boston was gripped by fear. Women were afraid to walk the streets at night, and many took to sleeping with windows locked, doors double-checked. But the killer wasn't finished. As the bodies piled up, so did the questions. Investigators were dealing with a nightmare. Was there one killer, or was there more than one? Despite the growing panic, the killer's elusive nature made it difficult for authorities to narrow in on a suspect. The killings came to an abrupt halt in 1964, but only after 13 women had been killed. The investigation, which had spanned over 2 years, hit a dead end. Public fear reached its peak, and rumors about who the Boston Strangler really was ran wild. Then came Albert DeSalvo. DeSalvo's name would become forever linked with the Boston Strangler, though his connection to the murders is still a matter of debate. In 1964, he was arrested for a series of unrelated crimes, assaults, and break-ins. He had been a small-time criminal, but when he was placed in a lineup for a robbery, something about him stood out. In a chilling and strange twist, DeSalvo confessed to being the Boston Strangler in 1965, while he was incarcerated at Bridgewater State Hospital. His confession was detailed and eerily convincing. He described the crimes in ways that only the killer could know. However, there was one crucial flaw. DeSalvo never confessed to actually murdering anyone. He said he didn't remember the actual killings, but had vivid memories of planning and carrying them out. DeSalvo's confession was scrutinized. Despite his vivid descriptions, the lack of physical evidence linking him to the murders left a cloud of uncertainty hanging over his involvement. It was also discovered that he had a history of exaggerating, having already confessed to multiple other crimes. Could he have been seeking fame, or perhaps trying to escape from his own troubled life? The truth remained elusive. The case took another twist when, in 1973, DeSalvo was stabbed to death while in prison. His death has only added to the mystery of the Boston Strangler case. Could he have been silenced to protect the true identity of the killer? Or was it just a tragic end to a man whose life had spiraled out of control? The doubts surrounding DeSalvo's confession would linger for decades. For years, investigators wrestled with the question: was Albert DeSalvo truly the Boston Strangler, or was someone else responsible? Despite the confession and the similarities between his crimes and the stranglings, no solid evidence ever conclusively linked him to the murders. In 2013, a breakthrough came. DNA evidence that had been preserved from the 1960s was tested against a sample from DeSalvo's family. The results were chilling. They confirmed that DeSalvo's DNA matched that of a sample taken from the scene of the final victim's murder. While this didn't fully confirm his guilt in all the murders, it did provide the first substantial evidence linking DeSalvo to the Boston Strangler case. But questions still remain. Were the murders committed by one person? Or was the term Boston Strangler a catch-all for several killers? Did DeSalvo truly commit all of the murders? Or was he merely one piece of a much larger puzzle? Could he have been part of a group of killers? Or were there copycats, making it impossible to say for certain who the real Boston Strangler was? The Boston Strangler case is still debated to this day. The story of Albert DeSalvo is tragic and compelling, but it doesn't answer every question. Was he a misunderstood man who confessed to something he didn't do? Or was he a calculating killer who slipped through the cracks of justice?